Cosmic horror. It is one of my favorite genres to tell stories in, but it's also quite tricky to get down, and I've messed it up a number of times myself. Now, when you think about cosmic horror, you're typically thinking of aliens, right? And then your mind goes to like really gory alien movies where they're just messing people up. And yeah, usually people getting just absolutely annihilated by aliens is a part of cosmic horror. But the really big thing that drives cosmic horror home that is hard to sometimes capture in TTRPGs is the fact that you don't really know why the entity, alien, cosmic force, what have you, is doing what it's doing, because it's operating not on a human level. It's not thinking in human terms. It's not thinking of like, oh, I'm doing this for political gain, or I'm doing this for greed or power. Let's say, for example, you had a whole alien species that was harvesting our spruce trees, right? They were coming down to Earth and they were just taking all of the spruce trees. They weren't explaining anything to us. They weren't saying anything. When people tried to confront them or stop them, they were absolutely annihilated in a very brutalistic way. Everybody is freaking out. Are we being invaded? We try to attack them with our normal military means, and it just wasn't effective in the slightest. And they continue to harvest the spruce trees. We don't understand. We don't know what's going to happen to us. There, that's it. We don't understand. We don't know what's going to happen to us. That is where cosmic horror really lives. The fear of the unknown, the fear of entities, beings, forces out there that can do things to us, and we don't have control of that situation. Now, a lot of people, when they're playing TTRPGs, the first thing they hear about is when they don't know or they don't have control. They start just screaming their heads off about player agency. That's not what we're talking about here. You have complete control over your character and what your character does, but you aren't necessarily going to understand your opponent. That's what makes cosmic horror tricky in TTRPGs, because we're so used to sword and fantasy hero stuff running around. When you look at Call of Cthulhu, a lot of it is the investigators surface level skimming the information and usually breaking their brains doing so, because that's not the point of Call of Cthulhu. The point of Call of Cthulhu is surviving the cosmic horror, surviving all these terrible things that are happening around these entities, and then maybe trying to understand a little bit along the way that your poor, simple human brain could comprehend. Cosmic horror is very difficult, but if you play games like Call of Cthulhu, Mothership is a really, really fun one to use it in. You could probably do it a lot in Lancer. Lancer has a lot of opportunity with their AI that have become like God level. There's all sorts of games out there that you can really utilize this cosmic horror, and you could do it in fantasy games. You have people who are sword and shield, knight and priest, that are suddenly discovering these creatures from beyond their realm, beyond their understanding. Fantastic, wonderful, great stories to tell. So cosmic horror, the best thing that you have to understand about cosmic horror is the characters in the story will not really understand, and they'll be afraid of the unknown. You don't need to know everything to complete an adventure.